Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Indonesia Pavilion, and we are here for today's session. And it's a very special session. We got the Vice Minister of the State-Owned Enterprise of Indonesia, Mr. Kartiko, and I will also do a little brief introduction. Mr. Kartiko Wiraryo Atmojo is the Vice Minister for State-Owned Enterprises. He's been a Deputy Minister of State-Owned Enterprise since October 25th, and he earned a little bit about his credential. He earned a bachelor's degree in accounting from the University of Indonesia '96, and a master's of business school at the Rotterdam School of Management in Erasmus University. And before serving as the Deputy Minister of State-Owned Enterprise, he was the President Director of PT Bank Mandiri, one of the largest state-owned banks in Indonesia. Before that, he was the Director of Finance and Strategy, also at Bank Mandiri, and he's also the Chief Executive and member of the Board of Commissioners of the Deposit Insurance Corporation, also as the President Director of PT Indonesia Infrastructure Finance. And I welcome you, Mr. Vice Minister. And we have here also the CEO of Pertamina Power, Mr. Dano Saputro, and the Director of Institutional Relations of Mine ID, Mr. Dani Amrul Ikhwan. And we also have the President Director of the Indonesia Battery Corporation, this Pak Toto Nugroho, is the President Director. Welcome, Pak Toto. And also from the Kawasan Industri Terpadu Batang, or KITB, that is the Grand Batang City Integrated Industrial Complex. We got the COO, Mr. Adler Siahaan. All right. So, first of all, I would like to welcome Pak Tiko, Pak Wamen, to give an opening speech and welcome to the audience, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's very good to be in Davos today. We want to share about the Indonesian government objective in the next 2.5 years in the second term of President Jokowi. And I would like to share also the transformation in the state enterprise that have been done in the past 2.5 years. And I will introduce also some of the investment prospects that are done during the past 2 years that is open for the foreign direct investment to some of our companies. So Indonesia has a long-term objective to be in the top 5 of global economy by 2045. And we also want to be in the top 10 by 2030, in which we already plot the GDP growth that we are aspiring to, around 5.5 to 6%, in which we believe that by pushing for the investment and also for exports, we can achieve a growth of more than 5%. Indonesia is such a large population. We have 270 million people with very young demographic. Therefore, the domestic consumption is actually huge and able to create a market that consistently growing at 3 to 4% every year. So President Jokowi in the second term focusing on several things. First of all is human development. We want to make sure that Indonesian people are competitive, especially on the technology acquisition. And also we want to crowd in investor by doing a lot of improvement in the regulatory framework and also in the investment framework. So therefore we launched 2 years ago a law, we call it Omnibus Law, which encompassing the revision of around 72 law in order to make investors to become easier to acquire license in Indonesia in many sectors. So the role of the Minister of Investment is acting as a single window so that any investor that comes to Indonesia can resolve all licensing through one window, and there is a time frame that is guaranteed that they can get all the license in certain months. So this is a breakthrough because initially licensing in Indonesia is very complex. It has to go through many part of the bureaucracy, central government, local government, environment, so on and so forth. So I think with the new Omnibus Law, we believe that the ease of doing business and also the political and legal risk in Indonesia is less and less. And this is already proven. For example, in the past 2 years, there has been massive investment on the upstream mineral sector, particularly on nickel and bauxite. There are many investors coming to Sulawesi, one of the island in Indonesia which have very rich minerals. And we are continuing the push for downstreaming of a lot of our mineral resources. Later on, Pak Dani can touch upon how we can downstream the mineral product all the way to EV battery. So with all this objective and the reform that Pak Jokowi already put in place, we in the State-Owned Enterprise Minister also would like to transform our State-Owned Enterprise Ministry so that we can become a portfolio manager that can actively manage well-performing corporations. So Pak Erick Thohir is the Minister for State Enterprise, and I'm the Deputy. 2.5 years ago, we joined the ministry. we actually manage more than 120 companies in many different sectors, all the way from upstream, oil and gas, mineral, banking, telco, infrastructure, all the way to tourism. So it's very large and very complex portfolio. So therefore, the initial objective is how to streamline and to basically improve the span of control so that we can manage better. So in the past 2.5 years, we've been reducing the number of state enterprises into 41, in which we are doing two things. First is to merge some of them, like in the case of port, we merge our 4 port company into 1 port company, for example, and we are also creating a lot of holding company. So MindID is, for example, the holding for the minerals, all minerals, nickel, gold, tin are all under management of the MindID, and we have holding for different sector, tourism and aviation. We have holding for healthcare. We have holding for food businesses and many other holdings, in which all operate under state-owned enterprise, but we also manage the subsidiaries under the holding, incorporated into the strategy of the state-owned enterprise in the long run. So there are 5 objectives that we want to achieve in the next 2.5 years to complete the transformation. First is we want to really focus on segregating the corporate objective and the social objective, because a lot of our corporation in the past is mixing between the social and corporate objective. So therefore, we refine the KPI, the objective, and clarify what is the key performance that we are controlling and we are putting in each of the corporation. So therefore, for example, we have a good performing listed company such as BRI, Mandiri, Telkom, and so on and so forth. But we also have corporation that we keep as a private company because it is heavily doing public service, such as the electricity company PLN, for example. So by segregating and clearing up the role for the management is more apparent how they would run and what are the objectives that they want to achieve every year, and also for the transformation in 5 or 10 years. Second is actually we want to improve the business model. So there are a lot of improvement business model. Later Pak Danif can explain how we integrate some of our company into one battery corporation, in which we want to do a downstream, upstream battery, all the way from mining to battery production. This is a new innovation. We also, for example, in MindID, we are also involved in the IBC, and we also doing a lot of integration. For example, in our banks, BRI, the largest bank in which I'm also the chairman, we are recently acquired 2 ultra micro player, which is under our portfolio, so that we can offer a whole range of macro financing, all the way from SME, micro, all the way to ultra micro. So there are a lot of M&A, internal M&A acquisition that we are doing in the past 2.5 years, and we are currently improving the business model, including by opening up to foreign investors. So there are a lot of investment coming in past 2.5 years, not only in mineral oil and gas, but also in banking, in telecom sector, and so on and so forth. So there are passive effort that we are doing on improving the business model. And then what's next? We want to improve the technology acquisition. So we want to digitize a lot of our businesses. I think banking and telco are the one which is already advanced, but in the future we also want the more manufacture or more upstream sector, such as oil and gas mining, is also being digitized. So for example, we would roll out our 5G network in Freeport, for example, in our deep mine in gold in Papua, in which we want to deploy our 5G capability for the deep mine of gold in Papua, for example. So there will be a lot of technology acquisition that we want to push. We also, past couple of months, working with Microsoft to develop the national cloud under Telkom. So we want to have a sovereign cloud which is run by Telkom, but we work with Azure to develop the platforms, for example. So there will be a lot of technology partnership that we want to do with a lot of partner and bring the technology to Indonesia. The fourth part is also opening up for investment. This is, I think, the one that probably you are interested in, that state-owned enterprise in Indonesia now is very open for investment model. So we have 3 layers of investment model. First is on listed companies. So we have a lot of institutional investor investing in our listed companies. So that is very easy. So a lot of public listed company, including Mandiri, BRI, Telkom, Semen Indonesia, that already owned by a lot of international global investors. And then second is also investing in our JV that is going to be capital market transaction. So there are right issues. For example, in BRI case, we did right issue, the largest in Indonesia. almost $6 billion proceed that we received from investors in October last year. So we also do IPO of our telecom tower company in October, in which we able to generate $1.2 billion investment from GIC, from Abu Dhabi Group Fund, and our sovereign wealth fund. So there is also investment direct through companies that we can jointly own by for investor. And recently we also would like to unleash the concession on our infrastructure project. So we currently is under a lot of transaction model. For example, in toll roads, we are doing asset recycling for our toll roads. So there are already some toll roads that we are offloading to foreign investors. Recently, Macquarie, CVC of China is buying toll roads in Indonesia. And also we are currently in the process of closing a deal with Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, CDPQ of Canada, and APG of Dutch to sell down Trans-Sumatera toll road. So this is a recently built toll road, brownfield. We just operated one year. We want to offload and bring investor pension fund particularly to own the toll road for 25 years based on concession that is produced by the government. So this is also very new innovation in which investor can buy into a concession of infrastructure and hold it for the period of the concession. We are in the process right now to sell down 40% ownership of our main airport in Jakarta. So we are running the process right now in which a lot of airport companies currently doing the pitching and submitting a proposal. So there are a lot of initiative currently that we are doing on different layer of investment model that we are offering to investors around the world. And I think there are three types of investor that we are aiming. First is the listed company investors. Second is the strategic partner who want to do a transfer of technology. And also the last one is private equity and pension funds who want to hold assets and want to get cash flow from the project that already brownfield in Indonesia. So these are the initiatives that we do under the investment model. And we are setting up also our sovereign wealth fund, which we call INA, Indonesia Investment Authority, that work side by side with us. So we put significant capital, around $6 billion to our newly established sovereign wealth fund, and they can become your investment partner to create new fund or to create a co-investment agreement so that they could co-invest in projects that I mentioned earlier. So we've been dealing with a lot of global investors, as I mentioned earlier, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, Abu Dhabi Growth Funds. We're talking to numerous pension fund like Canada Pension Fund, Dutch Pension Fund. We also recently got a lot of interest from the digital investment like G42 in Dubai and then Digital Colony in US. So a lot of interest in different sectors that are aimed towards this type of fund co-management. So with all this initiative, we believe that not only Indonesia is opening up for investment and we are offering a whole range of menu of investment, but we are also transforming the environment. So we want to reduce the political risk perception, we want to reduce the legal risk perception, and we want to make sure that all the investors can invest alongside our sovereign wealth fund. So you have also direct interaction with the government inner circle, so you can also protect your long-term interest in the investment that you are putting in the long period. So these are all the transformation that we do in the state-owned enterprise. State-owned enterprise currently amounted to around 40% of the whole economy. We tend to reduce the ownership so that we can crowd in more capital to our state-owned enterprises. Therefore, we create numerous models. Today, we will present 3 of those models, which is quite interesting. Pak Danif will explain on the battery investment model, which currently we are opening up for investor. There are several interests from Korea and China that currently we are doing, but there are still some opportunity also, be it in the upstream mining, smelting, and also in the downstream EV production itself. And then Pak Dhani will explain some of the potential on the mining sector. We are trying to expand our production capacity for gold, for nickel, for bauxite, and we are needing a lot of capital for the smelting as well. So this is the area that our mine holding company would like to also bring in investor. And then from Kawasan Sri Batang, this is also a new model. So we replicate what Vietnam does, in which we create an industrial complex that has already a plug-and-play model. So meaning that when you go to this industrial area, everything is already being set up. So meaning that the electricity, the water, the gas requirement, and all the licensing is already done under one roof. So we hope that investor can invest in this type of new model for our industrial complex, that they don't have to deal with a lot of things. Initially, when a lot of investors want to build manufacturing complex in Indonesia or manufacturing facility in Indonesia, you have to deal by yourself for the licensing, to get the electricity connection, to get the gas connection. Now it's already all provided by this complex, and now it's already in the process of marketing. So we have 4,300 hectares. So it's a big city, and the first 400 is already sold out to a Chinese and Korean investor. So this is also something that we want to share for any of you who would like to relocate your manufacturing capacity. There are a lot of interest to relocate from China actually to Indonesia. These are the type of investment that we want to get also in Batang Industrial Complex. So with that, I would probably just pass on to Pak Danif to start.
Okay, first of all, I would like to introduce again Pak Danif Dani Saputra is the CEO of Pertamina Power Indonesia. PT Pertamina Power Indonesia is one of the state-owned enterprise subsidiaries of Pertamina. I'm sure you're already familiar with Pertamina. It is the national oil company from Indonesia. And so the company was first established as the strategic holding company of Pertamina in October 2016, as assigned to running, controlling, managing business activities in the areas of energy to power with the basis of new and renewable energy, and is owned by Pertamina both domestically and overseas. I will give it to you, Pak Danif. Yeah. And also, we would like to welcome you to take a seat here for all of the visitors here. There's still empty seats back in the back. Okay. If you could go around here. Silakan, Pak Danif.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pak Tiko, the Vice Minister. Welcome to Pavilion Indonesia. Yeah, I'm representing Pertamina through Pertamina Power. Basically, we are here to support and to make sure the energy transitions in Indonesia been pledged by the government of Indonesia to have a net zero emissions no later than 2060, and to increase the renewable energy portfolio from currently 9% to 31% in 2050, and then the NDC commitment is achieved, as you know. Yeah, so the thing is, Indonesia has huge resources of renewable energies, right? As you can see, not only for solar, hydro, we also have, maybe not a lot of people know that we actually have the second largest resources of geothermal. But the utilization is still very low, right? This is, geothermal and hydro, as you know, can be used as a base load. This is something that, you know, needs to be utilized, and our mantra is basically to do this transitions energy, we will partners, right? We're looking at partners to make sure basically we can achieve the end goal that had been set up by the government. For Pertamina itself, we have basically make sure that we will transfer ourselves, right, from oil and gas company into an energy company with a low carbon footprint, of which we are dedicating our capex for the next 5 years more than 9%, right? So this is actually quite is larger than most of the NOC. So we are dedicating about $8 billion of capex for the next 5 years for the new and renewable energy sectors. But this is not enough. Hence, we do need to have, Tiko mentions, partnerships, right? That can bring technologies, that can bring, you know, access to financings, that can bring, at the end, for us, for Pertamina and through the governments, the energy transition has to be just and affordable. This is key for us as a developing countries. We still need energy for our GDP growth, whilst we're actually transitioning from fossil fuel into renewable energy. And then that's why we're setting up this new structure within Pertamina, a new subholding. We do have geothermal. We still have gas to power as energy transitions, but we will basically make sure increase the portfolio of renewable energy. But the most important here is basically to make sure that we can increase the portfolio of renewable energy for Pertamina. Our mandate is very clear. First is actually we need to help decarbonize the grid, right? This is our second pillar. Decarbonizing the grid, meaning basically we actively, with PLN, developing renewable energy projects. Hence, it is whether or not this is geothermal, hydro, biomass, which we have biomass, biogas, we have a lot of resources. And then we also need to increase our implementation of waste to energy. The other pillar is actually, as Pak Tiko mentioned, is over the new energy, which is related to battery, right? Battery, EV ecosystems, right? This is pretty much, electrifying the transportations. And as we know, transportation sector is one of the second largest, emitters, right, in terms of sectors that emit carbon. This is very key for us to be able to create EV ecosystems, right, and to make sure adoptions of EV, either two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or commercial vehicles is increased, because currently Indonesia, the adoption of EV vehicle has not been picking up. The other thing that we are putting in our effort and resources is actually on green hydrogen and blue hydrogen. Indonesia has abundant natural gas. We also, in Pertamina itself, we do have a lot of old reservoir that can be used for carbon captures, right? This is something that we will invest our capital resources. And the other pillar is and this is specific for Indonesia and maybe only few countries in the world, which is actually to do carbon offset. This carbon offset is very interesting because Indonesia, as a tropical, one of the center of tropical forests, right? We do have a lot of forest concessions that can be used and to absorb carbon and to be monetized. So all these things is potential opportunities, right, for partners. For Pertamina, at the end, we do have 8 initiatives for us that we will concentrate to make sure that the government of Indonesia and also Pertamina can achieve its commitment for either NDC or net zero emissions that has been pledged no later than 2060. We will invest in geothermal, hydrogen, EV battery storage system, green industrial cluster, as Tiko mentioned. This is to create demand, to make there's a lot of global movement like a carbon border management, which require goods that be exported to European countries, right? To have the whole, supply chains carbon free. This is something that we also creating. And then for our green refinery initiative, we do have a bioenergy has been, now we have bio 20 and bio 30. This is because we do have a lot of CPO producer as well. And the latest knowledge is actually the natural-based solutions. I mentioned about the carbon offset and aggressively decarbonizing the grid through implementations, a lot of renewable energy project. So that's conclude my presentation related to energy transitions.
Great. Thank you, Pak Danif. That was Pertamina Power Indonesia. And for the next one, I think we already have everything in order a slide. So I would like to welcome Pak Toto Nugroho. Pak Toto is the President and Director of Indonesia Battery Corporation. His career in the energy sector has been more than 25 years in Pertamina, in development of refinery and petrochemical projects, as President Director in subsidiaries related to international oil trading and in gas transmission and distribution companies, and Senior Vice President in managing fuel security throughout Indonesia, along with the import and export process of crude oil, BBM and LPG. So I would like to welcome and would like to apologize to Pak Adar to switch seat for a little bit when Pak Toto is presenting about IBC. Welcome you, Pak Toto.
Thank you. So I guess first of all, I think what is important here is that from the government mandate for us is really creating the EV ecosystem in Indonesia. And one part of it is really one of the energy transition, and the other one is also the security of supply. As you can see here, we have the potential of Indonesia. We have one of the largest economy of in the Asia-Pacific region. The second one is that we have very strong position in the upstream mineral resources. We are number one in terms of resource of nickel, but we are also abundant of also copper, manganese, aluminum reserves. So that's the other thing. The other one is the large potential market. If you can see the people of Indonesia in terms of two wheels that we have now, it's close to almost 8 million units per year. And in terms of the cars that is being produced is 1.2 to 2 million per year. And what is important here is actually that we have all this competitive advantage in the sector, also in the industrial sector in terms of automotive. So these are the factors that driving us going into where the EV ecosystem and the EV batteries. So I'll talk a little bit on the EV batteries of the IBC. So as you can see, maybe next slide, please. So this is the demand for the EV battery in Indonesia. So roughly, it will grow at a tremendous pace, right along with the world in terms of demand. So Indonesia will projected about 60 gigawatt of EV batteries requirements. So that's the EV batteries and the ESS, the energy storage solution for the renewables. So as you can see that this projection has been made, and it's been the government's mandate to have this target to be in 2030. Now, what we are doing is the end-to-end development of the EV battery, all the way from the mining side to the precursors, to the cathode, battery cells, and recycling. Recycling is very important because when we have gone through the entire cycle of the battery production, then we can get these materials back into the system so that it's very sustainable. So as you can see that here, as you know, we have secured in terms of the cooperation with the two biggest EV producers. One itself is Cattle from China. They're #1 producers of EV batteries. The second one is LG Energy Solution. They are from South Korea, and at this point of time, they have committed close to 15 billion US in terms of investment going to Indonesia, developing the end-to-end ecosystem from the mining, refining, precursors, cathode, anodes, and then the battery cells. So these are one projects which is integrated, and we aim to produce batteries not only for domestic needs, but also for the export of the batteries. So next slide. Here we have in terms of our pillars of business. First, of course, we want to be the world-class company in EV ecosystem batteries. So the batteries itself and the specific EVs. So the main pillars for us is that we need, of course, to build the end-to-end batteries. That's one. The second one is the two wheels. The two-wheel sectors in EV Indonesia is very promising because we have so many people, and then most of them are riding motorcycles. So that's the one of the pillars. The other one is the four wheels. That we won't do the production of Tesla or anything high-end. We will do specific ELCVs, which are logistic companies for electric logistic companies. That's some niche market that we want to do. And also the other one is very important, the ESS, the energy storage system. But Danif is also pushing the renewable, but for this to be able to really grow and also sustain especially eastern part of Indonesia, we really need the energy storage system to store this energy during intermittent hours. So again, the other one is we really want to have the expansion of the international business, meaning in terms of the supply, we do have the nickel, we do have some of the manganese, but in terms of lithiums, cobalt, now we need to have this kind of investment abroad to make sure that the supply chain for the EV battery is sustainable. Okay? And these are just the timeline that you can see that I guess the most important part is that does not take a short time to create EV batteries. When you do this from the end to end, you need at least 3 to 4 years to develop all the necessary manufacturing, all the necessary capability that we need. So we aim in 2025 that we will produce the EV batteries from the Indonesian nickel. And I guess the most important part for this journey is not just about producing the batteries, but here you can see that two folds that we want to have is to reduce the CO2 emission in Indonesia. We can see that by providing this battery EV ecosystem, we can reduce almost to 2.8 million tons of CO2 per year. And the other one, which is critical for Indonesia, is we reduce our dependency on imported fuels, because currently we import close to about $20 to $25 billion worth of fuel imports. By using the EV and switching from this fuel going into the EV, then we will have this better kind of energy security going forward. So in a sense, in summary, this is what we are aiming to do, and hopefully the investment for the EV ecosystem, the EV battery will be something which is critical, and the international partners that we can, like CATL and Capital, that's just part of it. This is something that we are looking for partners to impress in the technology, in the two-wheels ecosystem, four-wheel ecosystem. So with that, I really appreciate the attention, and hopefully this is something that we can have a future cooperation with the international communities. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Toto. Very exciting indeed. Indonesia Battery Corporation. Next one would be Pak Dani Amrul Ikhdan. Pak Dani is the Director of Institutional Relations of MindID. MindID is Mining Industry Indonesia. So it's the logo is MindID. It's Indonesia's mining industry holding company, which comprises of the Antam, Aneka Tambang, PT Bukit Asam, PT Freeport Indonesia, PT Indonesia Asahan Aluminum, and PT Timah Tbk. As you can see, I will give it to you, Pak.
Thank you. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. On behalf of the MindID, Mining Industry Indonesia, we have 6 members of MindID as a holding company. So we are now, we have the vision to become a leading integrated global natural resources. So we have 6 members of MindID group, Antam, as well as we have a majority shareholder in Antam, Bukit Asam, and Timah. Antam, Bukit Asam, Timah already as the public listed company, and the rest, MindID Trading, also the new one, our subsidiary, as the distribution company, headquartered in Singapore, to penetrate our local product. So we are focused on some of the strategic commodities, copper and gold commodities right now in the Freeport Indonesia and also PT Antam. So we have a team also in the Timah, and we have also some of the bauxite and nickel in PT Antam. So as the Indonesia mining company, we have also committed in the sustainability program to, there are 6 pillars, our sustainability program that we call the sustainability pathway. The sustainability pathway consists of the smart mining principles, because we are really concerned for the Indonesian regulation and also for ICMM, our target operation. Right now, Alhamdulillah, there are 2 kind of our members already submit in the ICMM, International Council of Mineral or Metals. It will be standard from the sustainability and ESG program, and PT Freeport Indonesia and Valley already done, and maybe for our roadmap for international standard for ICMM, International Council of Mineral Metals, we Antam, Bukit Asam, and Inalum operating. It will be submit for the ICMM in the next year. We have prepared a roadmap for ICMM to be the global standard for the mining industry, and we do hope that Antam and Bukit Asam finally succeed for the ICMM program. So in the ICMM program, we are also prepared the roadmap to achieve the smart mining operation. There are 6 pillars of sustainability pathway. The first, the sustainability pathway, the first smart mining operation, second, the community and society, and also economic development, people development, and also the governance of the ESG program. So we comply with the in Indonesia regulation for to enhance our ESG, and also the initiative, the decarbonization. We have to get target actually zero emission in 2060, and per year we monitor the initiative, the carbonization already. So we have 6 strategic projects. We have the national strategic project in Esgar to produce the alumina as well as the raw material from the bauxite, and also we produce alumina to support aluminium project in Inalum. So we have to increase our capacity in Inalum operation to become 1 million per ton per year. Right now we have to develop Esgar project in Mempawah, Kalimantan, but we are also trying to invite a strategic partner to upgrade our technology in smelter in Esgar Alumina to enhance our capacity in SCAR project. And second, we have also construction of Fanny Haltim of power plant already done, and EV battery ecosystem. As the main idea as a group, we have a majority shareholder in EV battery in Indonesia Battery Corporation with Antam 25% and main ID as the holding we have 25% and the rest Pertamina and PLN. So we really concerned for the IBC roadmap to strategic investment. This is the President Joko Widodo priority project as the legacy of the President Joko Widodo. So, and also we have smelter expansion. This is the existing capacity of smelting Gresik under PT Freeport Indonesia, total capacity 2 million tons of copper concentrate processed per annum. So we have to increase per year our capacity building in the in concentrate of the smelter to what we call it to give the economic value added for the our commodities. So this is the priority project, but in terms of the strategic project, we also open for another discussion to international market because our priority right now to expand. So it's mean if you have a proposal, some of the industry in the mining industry overseas, we have to invest. We have to acquire with the new model of expansion. We are really open to collaborate. I think that's all. Thank you very much. And we have to talk. Please look forward for our collaboration. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, so just in case you just join us, this is about Indonesia state-owned enterprise transformation and also offering for investment opportunities in Indonesia. There's a lot of transformation has been going on. As Pak Wamen, Pak Tiko, the Vice Minister has mentioned earlier that we used to have large number of SEOs, SOEs. There's from 110 until 41, everything's compressed into 41 state-owned enterprises. So there's a lot of transformation going on. And now it's divided into 12 industry clusters and also establishing risk management. And all the companies are sharing the same corporate values. Now, for the next one, I would like to welcome Pak Adler Siahaan, please. Pak Adler Siahaan is the COO of PT Kawasan Industri Terpadu Batang or Grand Batang City Integrated Industrial Complex. It's one of the state-owned enterprise affiliation and one of the national strategic project. And Grand Batang City is the latest industrial estate currently being built in Indonesia with total area of 4,300 hectares, featuring full support from the government, and so it's ready to become the most competitive industrial estate in Southeast Asia. Please, Pak Adler.
Thank you, moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce myself. I am Adler, the CEO for Grand Batang City. And Grand Batang City is currently the market leader for industrial estate here in Indonesia. The project size is around 4,300 hectares. We are located in very strategic area in Batang Regency. It is in Central Java, around approximately 4 hours drive from Jakarta. We do have the connectivity, the proximity to the airport, to the port, the 2 tracks railways, and also we have the Trans-Java toll road. We also have the non-toll road for the access. We have world-class infrastructure and utilities, as you may see. We have electricity, gas, ICT, waterways, 42-meter wide main road, toll access, seaport, and dry port. As a national strategic project, we have 5 years of payment schedule. After the 20% down payment, you have free installment until the 6th year, and 80% would be paid full in the 6th year. And it is a great gimmick for us to to earn something from the market. And long story short, we'll see the video from Grand Batang City.
Released by the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, 150 countries in the competitive industrial performance in 2020. In the same year, the government of the Republic of Indonesia decided to develop Grand Batang City, an integrated industrial estate, as the most competitive and investment-friendly industrial estate in Southeast Asia. Aside from being one of the national strategic projects, Grand Batang City offers competitive prices and fully supported by the government of the Republic of Indonesia.
Grand Batang City, sebuah kawasan yang sangat besar sekali, yang memiliki daya saing yang juga sangat baik.
With the concept of smart and sustainable industrial estate, Grand Batang City embraces on natural, human, and economic values for future sustainability. Grand Batang City is strategically located in Batang Regency, Central Java, which is flanked between Jakarta and Semarang. Grand Batang City has a total area of 4,300 hectares. In less than 2 years, Grand Batang City completed its development for Phase 1 of Cluster 1, inland clearing, toll road access, and also estate infrastructure. We are now working on facilities, utilities, and the next phase of Cluster 1, such as flats, electricity, gas pipeline, clean water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant, and ICT network. Grand Batang City focuses on the innovation, growth, sustainability, and a commitment to be the best. To be an industrial city with integrated world-class facility. Grand Batang City, beyond industrial estate.
That's all for the video. It is an update, Vice Minister. We already have the first phase of 450 hectares sold out already, and currently we are working, we are preparing the rest of 2,650 hectares for the second phase. Within the 2 weeks time from now, we are welcoming Mr. Joko Widodo, the President, to do the groundbreaking for EV battery large company from South Korea, and hopefully it will blow the brand for Grand Batang City. And as you may see here, the EV battery from South Korea acquires 250 hectares, and for the first phase they will do the construction for the first 67 hectares. These 10 investors, as we may see here, have the reason why they choose the Grand Batang City. First, we have a great location timing. The second one, we have full support from the government. The third reason is we have commitment, total commitment to become world or global investment destination. The fourth, services throughout, and last but not least, we have a very low initial investment on land. That's pretty much it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Pa. And we actually would like to, we welcome questions from the audience. If you have any questions regarding investing in Indonesia, especially in this sector. We talk about a lot of the renewable energy, talk about electric vehicles. And if you didn't know, recently, Indonesian President Joko Widodo had a meeting, it was highly publicized, had a meeting with Elon Musk at his office. And so it's, we're getting there, right? So, any questions from the audience? Sure, sir. Please state your name. State your name and.
Oh, too many. Hello, my name is Marco Nori. I actually cooperate a lot with the Indonesian Embassy for the southern part of Switzerland, but I'm the Vice President of the Institutional committee for the WAC, which is the World Energy Council. And I was wondering, I was listening to you, of course, everything is extremely interesting. Indonesia for European companies is always very far. And I was wondering which is your position toward small, medium enterprises that would like to invest in Indonesia?
So in the omnibus law that I mentioned earlier, because we changed the law on investment massively 2 years ago, and that also involved the widening of the investment threshold, so that we actually accept also SME investment to Indonesia. And to your information, a lot of Japanese and Korean SME already invest in Indonesia. So usually the Koreans and the Japanese, when they brought a manufacturing capacity, the whole supply chain, they will also procure domestically. So there is a lot of supporting businesses that is actually supplying to the main business, like the automotive business is a big ecosystem. So this is not only big, like the Toyota or Hyundai, but also the rubber manufacturing, the chassis manufacturing, following that.
A lot of technology innovation is actually owned by small, medium enterprises. There's a lot of innovation toward that part. So it's interesting to see how this kind of companies can actually make the step, and arrive in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example right now. We are actually developing train set manufacturing with Stadler of Swiss. So we are starting the capacity building. They will start to build the manufacturing plant in Banyuwangi, actually it's in eastern part of Java, starting in September. So this actually come after long discussion on how to transfer technology and provide also the market. So I think what is important for the European company is to understand the market first. Who will be the end buyer of the product? So for example, if say for example Italian company producing say car equipment, whatever it is, to Mercedes or to BMW, then I think it's a good market, because then the taxation regime will be much more friendly, and your cost structure will be very low because of the employment cost and so on and so forth. So to make sure that you understand the whole supply chain of the end product is important, so that it's not going to be an standalone production, but it is connected to ecosystem. So I think automotive ecosystem is one big ecosystem. I think Mercedes and BMW trying to expand their local content by improving the supply chain locally. I think Chinese and Korean doing it much earlier. So I think the latest Mercedes, the local content is already around 40%, meaning that there are more and more equipment that is sourced domestically from Mercedes. So that actually can also open up an opportunity for European company who supplying to Mercedes or BMW, for example, right? And then the other ecosystem, as mentioned by my team, like oil and gas ecosystem, mining ecosystem, is a big ecosystem. So we are importing a lot of complete goods like heavy equipments, infrastructure for mining, and that is still pretty much manufactured 100% abroad. Take for example the big excavator like Caterpillar or whatever. And that, I think there are huge demand domestically that actually can improve the domestic IRR. But to be honest, in the past, European and US company is still in doubt to bring their manufacturing facility there and bringing the supply chain there. So I think I encourage you to discuss with the community here and learn about the sectoral ecosystem and value chain, so that if they come to Indonesia, then there is a captive demand that you can serve as a base demand for the manufacturing production.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other questions from the audience? All right, and that marks the end of this session. I would like to thank the Vice Minister, Pak Kartiko Atmojo, also the CEO of Pertamina Power, Pak Danif Danusaputro, the Director of Institutional Relations of Mind ID, Pak Dani Amro Ikhdan, the this President Director of Indonesia Battery Corporation, Pak Toto Nugroho, and also, of course, Pak Adil Resiahaan, the CEO of Kawasan Industri Terpadu Batang or Grand Batang City. And before we end this, we also would like to have all of you, including Pak Toto, please, to be at the stage, and so because we'll take a group picture together, and is the photographer ready for this? All right, thank you very much to our members of the audience for the questions, for the sessions, and thank you for your attention.